Paranoid personality disorder is something that I've had most of my life. It really stems from this chronic fear of being terrorized and being put in a position where fear was so normal that the level of hypervigilance I developed to survive is astonishing. I could tell before I was going to get whooped on, I knew it and could feel it inside my body within a couple minutes beforehand. And so, just based on the mood that was being uh, transferred to me through the energy of my mother, I knew there's a problem and something was going to happen. And that created a lot of paranoia for me, which then has led into incredible distrust in my relationships as an adult. It's very, very difficult for me to trust people as an adult in my relationships because I just feel not safe, and I feel that I'm going to be taken advantage of or I'm going to be wounded in some way. And so I'd pull back. The moment I felt too close to somebody that they could hurt me, gone. I am out of there. I am not present. I am leaving this thing behind. And that part of me didn't get fully uncovered and dealt with until I was in my mid 30s. And I thought I had cleaned it up before I got married, but after getting married, it's the first time in my life I ever really felt safe. That I was accepted and valued and important to another human being. Like I had in my life a ride or die. And I remember when that got tested. My paranoid personality disorder got really tested this one day where I dropped a glass in the sink while I was washing dishes, and it sent me back to being a small kid at the sink washing dishes, and I couldn't move for like 45 seconds. And my wife was in the bathroom, and she came out of the bathroom into the kitchen and goes, "Oh, you broke a glass? We'll just get a new one." And something cataclysmically shifted in me where I, for the first time in my life, truly let out the terror that I had. And it was a rough couple months, let me tell you that much, because I was set down this path of madness because all of this terror that I'd been keeping inside of myself my whole life, in that stretch of time, it all came out. And it put me in a position where I'd classify it as off the ranch, if I'm being honest. I had all of my paranoia and fear and terror coming out into my life to answer one simple question. Is it safe for me to be loved with all of this that I carry? Thank goodness that lasted a little while because I can imagine my wife being in a position where she's continually afraid of me not being present and being somewhat of a lunatic. I think that was a very, very scary time for her. And I feel sad about that. But I thought I had cleaned my life up. I mean, I've been working in recovery for over a decade to be able to be myself and to work through all the trauma that I've been through and the pain and the suffering and the anguish. And yet, this paranoid thing didn't really rear its ugly head until that moment. And it lost me some relationships in my life, and others it damaged beyond repair, and some understood. And the ones that understood are still in my life, and I had a lot of apologizing to do because there was something in me that had to test the world around me to see if people really loved me. And it was a wild time in my life. It was wild. I was in such an incredible state of terror processing, I guess is what I would call it. I I was in a state of terror processing, and I had so much more peace in my life after this, but it was very experimental at the time. You see, the paranoia that I had produced this reality around me where I was always afraid to let myself be known. People are going to abandon me, people are going to abuse me, people are going to not see me for who I am, people are going to take me for granted. All of these different things in my life that harmed me were all coming to this massive defense mechanism that I built called paranoia, hypervigilance, this incredible defense mechanism to not get close to people and not be known by people. I spent most of my life building that. And it unfortunately destroyed most of my relationships and kept me from being close with people because you can't trust things that you're afraid of. And you certainly can't trust people. There's this questioning that starts to happen in your mind. Is this really what they think? Is this really their intention? What's really behind this? All of those pieces add up to potential madness. Because if you're constantly questioning, the problem is that what we say and what we speak can have such an incredible power to create a reality. In my case, a lot of the times the things that I believe were validated and came true simply because of me putting that out into the universe and into the world. I've wanted for most of my life to be able to connect to people and be close with people. But it wasn't until my 30s where I would say I really built some unbelievable friendships and some unity and some closeness with people that I cherish, man. I cherish and I see as my utmost desire to continue. Like I am so grateful for the relationships that I've built in my life and that have been given me. Like so many moments of grace in my life. So many moments of grace. I just marvel at it, I marvel at what could have been and what is. Being paranoid and being afraid, more like afraid of the unknown, is truly something that is a really scary place to live your life because you don't know what you can trust. And in my case, I couldn't trust anything growing up. My surroundings were not safe. At any moment, destruction laid before me, death laid before me. And I had to find a way to survive. I got a little girl in my life, my daughter, and I marvel at considering the things I've gone through in my life. I marvel at it as I watch her function and learn language. And sometimes my language has to be infinitesimally, mildly harsh with her because she's running towards the street and pulled her hand out of my hand, or like those little situations. And that mild harshness, like just in tone of voice, has such a tremendously negative impact on her soul. And it's not even that I'm yelling or I'm being angry or anything. It's literally just like I am simply having a minutely stern voice and she'll start crying because she doesn't know what it's like to grow up in an environment where she's experiencing any type of sternness. Because for me, I mean, she's about 21 months old or 22 months or something like that. And I'm a firm believer that children, before their amygdala and frontal cortex are connected, are all non logical and emotional beings. And most people on this planet have this expectation that their children are to be as adults before their brain physically develops the ability to do that, to think logically. And so in our case, the way we raise her is to unconditionally love her to the point where if I hand her a glass and she breaks that glass, that's my fault because I gave her a responsibility that she was not ready for. And so there's this attunement that I've learned with her where, like, most of the time, I think that she is just being truly being herself. And like if we have to go somewhere or something like that and get ready, I say, come on, we got to get ready. And she'll run away. Not because she wants to disobey me, but because she wants to be found by her father. She wants to be seen by me. And it's this beautiful thing that I'm discovering about life is that kids kids need structures and boundaries for sure, but they moreover than that need unconditional love in this way where you give them the permission to be themselves. And then out of that firm foundation, they can develop the structure necessary to have a successful life. Part of my paranoia was simply I never had any semblance of a safe environment. Many, many years later, I never went to the doctor much because I don't know. Now I go to the doctor at least once a year or something like that. But growing up, we didn't have any insurance, and so going to the doctor was tough because we wouldn't, if you weren't practically dead or a broken bone or something, you ain't going to the doctor. And so that's why I don't know the number of concussions that I've had, but I was a 33-year-old man with a pediatrician as my doctor. I didn't know what to do. I'm just going to the doctor. To me, it's the same thing. And I remember this doctor in this beautiful moment of grace in my life saying to me, Paul, I'm retiring. This is my last year, and I just want you to know something. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like I got some disease. And he just stops and he looks at me and he said, you guys had no safe haven when you were kids. And I saw that, and I fought for you kids. I don't know how many times I called CPS on your parents. I couldn't count. But I want you to know that somebody saw you and somebody wanted you to have safety in your life. And I did the best that I could that my profession would allow me to do. And it makes me emotional now because most of my life as a kid, I just thought that nobody ever saw us and nobody ever saw my plight and all the anguish that I went through and the suffering. And it was just this wild moment in my life where if I had switched pediatrician to like normal adult doctor or whatever, I may never have gotten that moment. And it changed me in my paranoia particularly because it showed me that all the days of my life, even back then, there were people that cared for me and there were people that fought for me. And it gave me this incredible desire to fight for myself and be in the pursuit of transformational change and growth. It was such a big pivot point for me. in changing my paranoid personality disorder towards people are kind and loving, and there's good people in this world, and I just have to go out and find the good ones for me to be in relationship with. What a wild memory, you know? I would say now I don't have much paranoia in my life, and I practically don't have any fear whatsoever at all. Unless there's an opportunity for me to be brave. But I have worked through that for so many years of my life that I'm in a position now where I don't have to be afraid anymore. And for those of you that are out there seeing this, that have fear and paranoia in your life, and you wonder if anyone ever saw you and cared about you, I want you to know that there's definitely people in your life that see you for the person that you are and respect you, and you just may not know it yet. And it's worth putting the time in to discover that and cultivate those relationships and be willing always to be in the pursuit of a sound mind, which looks much more like that may just mean me being paranoid. I'm going to take the risk anyway. I'm going to choose to be brave in this scenario, and I'm going to connect with this person. And then apply some wisdom based on their behavior to determine what level the relationship needs to go to. Not everybody needs to know who you are. Not everybody needs to know everything about you. Remember this phrase: people only know what you tell them. And most of the time, what you barely tell them, that's enough until they earn trust. The only reason I can be this honest here on this YouTube channel is because I have roughly 50 people in my life that I can trust explicitly with my past and my friendship. And that enables me to be so radically honest, because by the time I die, those same 50 people are going to be in my life. And I'm okay with never adding any more friends. I'm okay with being in a position where I have the people I want to lead my life with and live my life with, and I'm good. You can find those people too. Get searching. Start asking better questions. Start qualifying your relationships instead of just having anyone be your friend. And you will find the true river of life that flows from humanity to you and from you to humanity back. Find the river and get into it.